Hello everyone, this is English with Joseph, and today we are going to make a lovely recipe. So, before we begin, let me just wipe down the worktop here and show you what we're going to cook. We're going to make a Filipino recipe with a sweet and sour sauce. So, you will need some onions, yes, onions, here. You will need some garlic. You will also need some olive oil, some vinegar, some salt. Hi everyone, this is English with Joseph, and today we're going to do some cooking together. So let me tell you what we'll need to make this lovely recipe. We will need some onions. We will need some garlic, some vinegar. This is vinegar. We will also need some olive oil, some corn flour, some ordinary flour, and we will also need some meat. Now, for this recipe, I'm going to be using Quorn, which is an artificial meat type. It's not really meat, it's something that pretends to be meat, okay? It's a kind of alternative to meat for vegetarians, okay? And so as well as this, we will also be using some sugar, okay? Because the sauce that we're making is going to be sweet and it's going to be sour. This is the salt, okay? Salt. Now, just to go over that again, we're going to be cooking today, and the ingredients we'll be using are onions, vinegar, corn flour, ordinary flour, salt, sugar, and some olive oil. And of course the meat we'll be using is Quorn, and we'll also be using some garlic. So to begin then, let us first of all prepare the garlic. It's trying to run away. Okay, so I'm going to use a lot of garlic because I like it. Okay, so let's chop the garlic finely. As you can see, we are cutting the garlic into very small pieces. Okay. And now we're also going to peel the onions and get them ready to be cooked. As you can see, I'm not making a very good job of cutting the onions so much, or peeling the onions. I'm getting them a bit mixed up with the garlic there, so let me, there we are. So we have to cut this into very small pieces. Okay, so so this is the onion that I'm chopping up here, as you can see. Okay, this is the onion, and the garlic is here as well at one side. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this bowl here, see the bowl, and I'm going to put my first onion inside it, as you can see, and my garlic as well. There we are. And I'm going to add a drop of the vinegar. Do you remember the vinegar? Vinegar. This is it. Drop of that in there. And I'm also going to put in some of the salt. Okay. And I'm going to put a drop of water in there. Okay, there we are. Just give that a little mix up. Okay. And then I'm going to get the rest of the chopped onions. Okay, so I'm now looking at the rest of the chopped onions, which I have here. Okay, there we are. I'm going to add these to the meat and cook the meat separately, along with another piece of garlic, and in a separate bowl I have these sitting in some salt and some vinegar. Okay, and we'll come back to those in a moment. So let's start working with the Quorn first of all. And in order to do that, we've got some garlic here, which I just want to chop up. And it depends how much you like this. Garlic isn't for everyone. As you know, it's very strong if you like it spicy. Some garlic. So now we have some onions and some garlic, which will go nicely with the Quorn. If you don't like to use Quorn, you can use proper meat. It really doesn't matter. So let's go and get a pan and see what we can do with these. Okay, so I've put the Quorn in the pan here, as you can see, with some olive oil. That's all I've done so far. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the pan over so you can see what I'm doing. So remember these onions that I've got with the garlic sitting at the side, not the ones with the vinegar. I'm just going to bring this here and put in the chopped up onions, and I've got a lot of garlic in there as well because I like garlic. Okay, now that's really enough for us to start cooking the meat. Okay, so you remember this that I've got here with the vinegar. What we're going to do is we're going to cook this separately in a separate small pot, and then we're going to make some more sauce to add to this. Okay, so what we can do is we can put this pan here on at a very slow heat just to start to cook the Quorn. Okay, don't be put off by the look of the Quorn. It's a darkened room in here. The light is kind of artificial. It looks a little bit light in color, but it's fine. Okay, so let's go over to the cooker. Okay, so I'm just busy heating up the plate on the cooker. So I'll just put this on here so you can see. Okay, and let me just move this over so you can see. Okay, here we are. It's now on to cook. That's the plain onions, garlic, and some Quorn. Okay, and I'll just sit you back down here for a moment while we move on and move back to what we have here. This is our onions and our garlic. Okay, we're going to cook this in a separate pot. Okay, then we're going to make a nice sauce to add to this, which will be the sweeter part of the sweet and sour. And here we have the vinegar and the garlic and the onion. So next we will make up some corn flour, some more onion and some sugar to add to this to balance it out, and we'll cook it all together. Okay, so here goes. Let's go on to the next part where we make the sauce. Sauce. That's S-A-U-C-E, the sauce. Okay, so now we can take another bowl. Okay, here, move that aside. Okay, one moment, let me just give that a rinse under the tap. It's fine. Okay, now in this bowl what we're going to need to add is 3 tablespoonfuls of water. Okay, we're going to add our corn flour. This is corn flour, very popular with Chinese and Oriental cooking. Okay, so we're going to add that in, just piece by piece, nothing major. Okay, and drop by drop, teaspoon by teaspoon. And in case you're wondering, this is a teaspoon, and the larger one is a tablespoon. Okay, the tablespoon. So let's put this in, and we can mix this up to make a paste. Okay, and in the background there you can hear the Quorn starting to cook. Nice. Just make a nice paste out of that, nice and thick. There we are. That's the corn flour. Move that out of the way before I burn the house down. Okay. Okay, just to show you where we're at with the meat, I put it on very high because the meat was not frozen, but it was kind of in the fridge. Let's have a look. Yeah, I was just saying that the meat, we want to just have a look at that. So let's see. Yeah, there we are, coming along nicely, So looking back at our corn flour here, we've got it all mixed up there. Okay, so I'm going to add the sugar. Now, this is the sugar I have here. I actually showed you the white sugar a moment ago. Oh, that smells nice. Right, this is a white sugar, okay, but for this particular recipe I'm actually going to use the brown sugar, okay, Demerara sugar, because I prefer it and I think it gives a nice taste. Okay, so this is a brown colored sugar. Okay, brown sugar. Okay, so it depends how sweet you like it. You don't have to add all of this, but I'm going to add a fair amount because I like my sweet and sour dishes to be more sweet and sour, if I'm really honest. Okay, so I'll just make sure there's nothing left in the bottom here that I can possibly get out. Yes, and there is. Okay, wonderful. And Just remove the teaspoon. A bit of a whisk. There we are. Nice, coming along nicely there, coming along nicely. Okay, now I'm going to add final little drop of olive oil in here. Okay, final little drop of olive oil, and I'm just going to take this meat off for a moment or two till we get the sauce ready, because there's a danger this will be cooking a bit too quickly, I think. So let's take that off for a moment. And that plate that we took it off of, I'm just going to bring another pot over here and pour this in. Okay, that's that. And I'm going to add some water as well to get the sugar out of the bottom of this. Let's see. Of water, get the sugar out of it, and then I'm going to add in our earlier mixture. That's the garlic and the onions. Now you can use any vegetables that you like in this. It doesn't have to be carrots or I mean, you can add in anything. I haven't used carrots, I've used just onions and garlic, but you can add in carrots or you can add in anything else that you want. But I completely forgot about the carrots, frankly, and I'm not a big carrot fan anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to put this on a slow heat. Okay, let's leave that there for a moment or two and let that cook. While that's doing that, I'm also going to go back to the meat, and I'm going to put it on a separate plate, which will be cooking slower by the time it heats up because I'm using electricity. My meat is cooking, and while it's cooking, well, it's not really meat anyway, is it? I'm going to add some other spices that I've got. So I've got some oregano sitting there. I've got a little spice rack happening here. Okay. And depending again on how hot you want it, you might want to consider some chilies. Or you may wish to consider just some general seasoning. Okay, this is Italian herb seasoning, so I'm just going to add a drop of that into my meat as well, because I like it. No other reason. Okay, so we're almost there. Everything is coming along nicely. My meat is cooking on one side, and I have my sauce on the other, as you can see there. Okay. So while that's cooking, we'll just do some tidying up, the most important part. So I'll just give this a spray. So while I'm doing this, just so I can talk at the same time, what I was saying was our ingredients: onions. Okay, that's the small round things that we used, as you recall. The onion. Okay, and the other thing I used was garlic. Okay, two very handy words to know if you're at the supermarket. And I used many other things as well, which I'll tell you the names of in a second. I'm just cleaning the kitchen here for a moment or two. My work colleagues would be proud of me. Yeah, so let's see now. The meat I was cooking with is called Quorn, and it's a meat-free style of mince, meat-free Quorn. Okay, it's available in any health food shop. It depends on the kind of things that you like to eat, you know. So let's have a look at the sauce, see how that's coming along. Yeah, seems to be coming along fine. I haven't added any water or anything to it. There it is. But I'm going to have to find a way of stopping this thing from switching the camera and microphone off when I'm cooking. But here it is. Here's the meat. Okay, there we are, it's cooking away quite happily. It's that, and we have our sauce here in the background as well. So it's all happening, it's all go. So let's see how we're getting on. So you probably noticed that I haven't added any salt yet. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm going to take the salt. I'm going to take a pinch, just a pinch, palm of my hand. There we are, like this. I'm just going to add it to the meat and also to my sweet and sour sauce. Okay, so here we are. Now, the next part is very important, okay? Because I'm going to take the sauce and I'm going to add it to the meat. Okay, so this is the meat. I'm just going to take the sauce. There we are. And I'm going to pour it in like this. Okay. There we are. It's us. Mix that in a bit and put it back on the heat. Let that bubble for a few minutes. Okay, while we continue with our cleaning. So, there we are. And now, let's go and have a look and see how we're doing. Okay, just while we're waiting for that, let's discuss some of the English words that we used today in our cooking. So, this, where I chop the onions, is a chopping board. Chopping board. Because this is where we chopped the vegetables. The chopping board. Okay. The chopping board is where we chop the vegetables. This here that we used for cooking is salt. Salt. Okay. The one that we used to make it kind of sour tasting for sweet and sour is vinegar. Vinegar. And indeed, the stress of that word falls on the first part. That's vinegar. Not vinegar, vinegar. Okay. It's coming along nicely. A bit more salt maybe, but the stuff that we added to make it sweet was sugar. Sugar. Okay. And the other things that we had the option of adding to make it spicy, spices. Spices. The Chinese flour that we used to make it the sauce thick is corn flour. Corn flour. Okay. And what we're cooking on today to give it the heat is the cooker. The cooker. Okay. And the meat is cooking in a pan. Okay. In a pan. Okay. And what I was doing when I was wiping the surfaces, I was cleaning. Cleaning. Okay. Other things you might expect to find in a kitchen. Things you would eat with. Fork, for example. That's when I was stirring the food with. Or a spoon. Spoon. Okay, so let's see how we're doing for our food to be on the plates. The plate. This plate needs a little bit of a wash, so let's give it a bit of a wipe. There we are. And then that's us ready to be eating from the plate. Plates. A. Plates. Okay, that's a plate. A. Plates. Okay. And right now the food is, what's it doing? Simmering. Simmering. That means it's not boiling, but very slowly cooking happily in the pot. Simmering. Okay. And what I'm going to do now is just give it a taste. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Maybe just a little bit more salt, just a pinch of salt. Pinch of salt. A pinch of salt. Usually when you're cooking, the recipe says you add a cup of this, a teaspoon of that. This is a tablespoon. This is a teaspoon. The small one is a teaspoon. Okay, that gives you an idea of the recipes and their measurements. And sometimes they give you exact measurements, like grams of flour, for example. But we won't worry about that. I hate cooking with exact figures anyway. I prefer cooking just with my own measurements. So, yeah, looking nice, finally ready. And I think I might just have steamed up the camera there, but oh, I'm sure you enjoyed it. And that, my dear friends, is my dinner. My dinner. Emphasis on the first part of the word. Dinner. This is dinner. Midday is lunch. This is dinner. Okay, so let's take one last look before I eat it. This is it, and it's just waiting to be devoured. So there you go, my friends. I hope you've enjoyed this, and happy eating, happy cooking.